Hey Lisa, I was in a session with someone going into feelings. There was a lot of energy. Then I started repeating the mantra, I is I, with him, until suddenly I started laughing and totally losing it and I couldn't stop. It's like the laugh didn't even come from me. Then this terror of death and abandonment arose, just like you spoke about in the intro. It just kind of seems to be there now, and I'm unsure how to address it. The fear is there could be a psychotic break by going into it. How would you advise to address this? I'm kind of scared of going back to sessions. Yeah, I don't know what happened in that session, and yeah, I mean, this is a problem, I remember listening to Jung one time. No, I wasn't listening to Jung, that's a lie. It was Jordan Peterson speaking about Jung. And he said, when somebody's being gaslit massively in a relationship and lied to, so like a serious partner relationship, and you come out of that and you realize that the other person has been really seriously lying, and you can no longer determine who that person was and what relationship you had with them, there can be two things that happen. One is that you have a mental breakdown and you end up with mental health issues, or two, you have awakening and go beyond self. I mean, we are playing with fire when we go into this subject. And I can't guarantee what way it will go. I have seen people get into the subject and have mental breaks. Because what it is, I presume, even though everything I say is not scientifically backed, it's my opinion, it's what I've read, it's through studying, it's been involved in this for many, many years and going into myself and exploring. But from my experience, so what you're kind of doing in a way is you're tricking yourself and you're going beyond pain and pleasure. So the person is in this matrix of pleasure and pain, and it believes that pleasure is the answer and pain is the enemy. So pleasure is my freedom and pain is the enemy, and society feeds on that. Everybody is buying into that realm. So we're kind of controlled in a way, but in an invisible way, because we've been taught that pleasure, good, pain, bad. So our whole life is about trying to play this board game where we're moving all our pieces to get the maximum amount of pleasure and the maximum amount of pain and the least amount of pain. And really there's no winners of this, because in the end everyone dies, so everyone has to lose. So everyone eventually goes into immense pain in the death process. But even in life, people around you are going to die, you're going to lose things, you're going to be disappointed, heartbreak, you're going to be a whole variety of things. And there will be those that get half and half, there will be those that get more pleasure than less pain, and there will be those that get more pain and less pleasure. And it's an unfair rolling. In Eastern traditions, they would say it's karmic. But if you take karmic out of being personal, then it's like, it's just the flow of events in the end. One thing led to another, and then you're here with this body that is having more pain and less pleasure. And that's not a personal responsibility. It's not like somebody's done bad, because who would be that somebody? It's just that these particular events have ended up painful. It's no different from the dog, that gets born and then its mum gets killed and it's starving and abandoned, has to starve to death as a puppy and doesn't ever get a life to experience. It's just the way it is. And when we look from a bigger perspective, from a bird's eye perspective, we see it as energy transforming. But when we look at it as a more personal experience, like life is deeply unfair. And what we're doing in going beyond this is looking beyond this idea of pleasure and pain. So all animals are like moving towards that. So Khaleesi, my dog, is always trying her best to move towards the most amount of pleasure. And all animals are doing that, but the humans believe they are somebody that's doing that, and their sense of self gets embossed, if that's a word, into that. It becomes weaved into the fabric of that idea, their sense of self. And in non-duality, we're kind of tricking ourselves and going beyond that. which is a fascinating concept because no other animal has done that, has begun to look past the illusion of pleasure and pain. And this is why non-duality is such a dodgy subject to teach, because, you know, I was with teachers, and many teachers teach, you know, going beyond pleasure and pain, and then that can lead into all types of abusive dynamics. You know, if the teacher's not really careful or clever or wise, then there can be, you know, the teacher does something, or you're in a group that does something that crosses people's boundaries, and then you can say, yes, but that's not your freedom. You've got to go beyond your ego. And this is where it all begins to get dodgy on the human level. But then on the psychological level, we are kind of like short-circuiting the brain in a way. And this is undocumented and unexperimented. There are institutions that are beginning to look into this, but most scientific institutions will only look into things that will make them money, and it's unknown if this will make them money because it's such a far-out concept. And all traditions that are normally talking about enlightenment are based on this. Like, so the Buddha was that suffering is the attachment to pleasure, the clinging to pleasure, and the avoidance of pain. Non-duality would go on to say that makes the sense of self, this attachment to the person and the pleasure and pain dynamic. So it's the collapsing of that. And that's the energetic shift. Yeah, so it's dodgy. But
So yeah, I was in the session and it just kind of, I don't know if things released. I mean, it felt like it was just a lot of energy, and I was sort of terrified, like, you know, what am I doing here? This is crazy. This is actually crazy. Like, you know, I'm here. I felt like I was in the session with a crazy person as well, you know. It's just um
yeah,
and it was just like this, but at the same time it's this calling to, like, you know, go all the way. Like
yeah.
it's full on, like, um and I realized that, like, you know, maybe my whole life has been run by this kind of like terror that's like
Mm.
low key kind of there. And
Yeah, most probably,
um
but you know, you've also got to find your own intuition. I know that's hard to say, you know, maybe that person wasn't the right match for you. You got to kind of, but I can't
yeah,
kind of say that, and you can't, not you, they can't really say it. It's something that you've got to begin to
I mean, yeah,
find and trust.
yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
difficult
that's
line.
yeah, going I've been going to different, well, you know, like kind of talking to different non-duality teachers and seeing like how it resonates and if it feels you know, safe. And I do try to discard that part of it, like, oh, feeling like safe, or because I'm also kind of like, well, it is gonna bring up stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna
so
bring up some stuff, but also, you know, feeling safe has importance too. You're allowed to feel safe
yeah,
in a one-to-one session. I mean, in a way, I think that's an important quality
yeah,
to
yeah,
feel
for
safe.
sure,
You know, you've
for
got to
sure.
build a relationship up where there's mutual trust. But it's also so exposing going into a one-to-one session. That does, you know, take time. You know,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
would happen if you said to them, "I feel unsafe"?
Um, well, they might be like go towards the kind of, that's an illusion, that's a, or, you know, I don't know. I don't
Right.
really know. You know,
Yeah.
I did, you know, I felt like I would love to do sessions with you. I know you're not available right now. Um, but I am trying to like scour like through different, you know,
Yeah.
teachers and kind of find like, you know, a happy medium where it's not like, um, you know, it seems like extreme non-duality well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's good to go beyond this fear. It's just,
I would
you know, is
say
I afraid?
maybe it's
Mm.
most important thing is to find what's right for you. But what you said, which I would just jump on, is like trying to find this balance between pushing you beyond your limits, but also this place where you feel safe. That sounds like a really balanced attitude. So that sounds really good that you're looking
Yeah,
for that. And that's something that you've come to as well.
yeah,
Like that feels like something I want as well.
yeah, yeah, true, true. Yeah. So now I'm just wondering, like, how can I, address this in my day to day? It's like yesterday, it was just, I kind of felt like in love and
Yeah.
in bliss, like a little bit. And then today, I just kind of feel, resistant and a little bit terrified
Yeah,
of
I
going
wouldn't. I
into
wouldn't
the,
pay
it's
too much
just,
in regards to non-duality. I wouldn't pay too
yeah,
much to the too much attention to these different things. Like this happens, like this opening and closing. You know, this more open state where you feel more love, and then this closed state. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. It's more just focusing on what's happening in this moment. Like so, there's two
yeah,
things that are seemingly happening. There is this immense space of everything, this I amness, this beingness that is everything and all places. So that's happening. And then there also is this human that has its whole vulnerable world of feeling. And that's also part of what's happening. So you've got this beingness, which is beyond good and bad, right and wrong, positive and negative, that's all around. And then you've got the human that feels something. So the human, what did you describe the human feeling today? Like tight and contracted?
yeah, a little bit terrified. That's
So
kind of
you've got
subsiding now,
yeah,
so it's not even real, maybe.
yeah. I mean, that's a big question, what is real and what is not, but it's
Well,
seemingly
yeah, it just
appearing.
comes, yeah.
Like, so you've got this, like, person that is a little contracted or sad or terrified in this massive space of beingness. And that's the end of story, really. Like, that's it. Like, we can then explore what's happening in the human world. So you can go into time and explore it, the relation to it in the past and the future and all these different things. But in this moment, there is these two different things, and forget all this becoming and wanting and yesterday and not. What's your actual experiences? This person with this terror and these maybe what we'd call negative feelings, and there is this immense freedom in which it's peering in, and that's the most important part. And then you can do exercises where there is like more attention on the absolute. So, you know, like he was saying to you, I am, or whatever it was that he was saying.
Yeah.
And then you can do exercises which is exploring more the human dynamic, which goes into time. And neither is right or wrong. I would say, like, both have qualities. I wouldn't spend more time in one than the other, but so I wouldn't get stuck in just the personal or just the absolute. And it's not
Yeah.
about you getting enlightened or you getting somewhere. It's just about the exploration
No.
of your experience. And in that, there
Yeah.
will be change that happens. More than
Yeah.
likely for
Yeah.
the positive. I can't guarantee that. Like, I haven't done any scientific experiments, but like the exploration of the person is a positive thing. And then the knowing of that which is beyond the person is a positive thing. So having a good conceptualization of you and kind of coming to know what's being felt there. So, if there's like
Yeah.
lots of hatred thoughts coming up, it's like a knowing of fear or anxiety underneath it. So kind of having good conceptualization.
Right.
And then also this I am, which is not a thing and not a place or an idea, this beingness which is beyond you. And both of them are happening now. Like right now, there is this no place that's all places. There is this moment happening. It's not happening. Could you agree with that?
Yeah.
There is this happening. And then there might be an idea that it's happening to me, but that's an idea appearing in this no place, which is all places. This nothing appearing to everything. There is a person that thinks it's experiencing and has feelings of negativity. But all of that is appearing in this vastness of who you are, which is infinite. And And that's always here, this infinite nature. And it's not to discount the discomfort that happens in the person. I get discomfort. Yesterday I had some immense discomfort because I accidentally overdosed on some medication, which counteracted each other. And
Uh-oh.
and I had a bit of a tantrum at my partner, like so, then passed out. Well, not literally passed out, but kind of just fell into a very deep sleep. Like, so it's not about not having these human experiences, but there is this immenseness that's behind it, which has been veiled and covered, that's always free.
Yeah. I mean, it feels simultaneous with, the discomfort.
And then the
But
discomfort
even
is like, inherently in this discomfort is like a urge to get away from it. So there is the fear, and there's this urge, the seeking urge, which makes your experience more narrower. So when there's seeking, there's more of a narrow experience. This urge, I've got to get away from this, I've got to get away from this. And that's not pathological, that's a response happening to pain. And then a belief that the solution is getting away from it. So it's just noticing all of that that's happening, all these complexities.
Yeah. I kind of try to use my mom as a way to go into it, because I tend to avoid her, and now I just try to fully just listen and feel everything that she says, and I feel like it's a reflection of my psyche and like how I've been raised.
Yeah, fascinating, eh?
So that, so that I don't know if it works or not, but I'm really trying to face things, but I'm trying. It's non-linear, it seems. It's just like I go from one thing to another. So, and I'm trying to be consistent about it. It is what you say, though, is true. It is hard to do individually, and it's nice to think that and maybe I can, but it's nice to think that I can. But yeah, it's tough to see everything. Though I do get the reflections back from, like from my mom, for example, like, oh, you're doing this, but I don't know if it's true or not, of course. I don't know. But yeah, it's really good to hear this, and I really appreciate speaking to you. I'll give you some more time to answer questions and stuff, though, and not
Thanks,
take up the
Brian.
whole. Really, really, thank you.
Yeah, and
Lisa.
I will answer your email. I know that you emailed me. I just have just been a bit out of it the last few days.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya.